Okay. So here we are at Cloud Mountain in Castle Rock, Washington, and I just completed a 7-day silent meditation retreat with Kamala Masters, and I just want to share some of the reflections that I have so I can remember them and they're fresh in my mind, and share them with other people who are interested. I was thinking probably my grandfather, grandmother, parents that might want to know what this experience is like, because most of the time we don't go through periods of silence, so it's a very unique, unusual experience. So yeah, it's a meditation practice, meditation retreat. You start out with renouncing different things, like you don't talk, so you renounce speech or untruthfulness, and the silence is to help you with that. It's also to help you get in touch with some of your thought patterns and some of your habits, your reactive mind. You also renounce doing harm to any living creature. You renounce sex, so no sex, and there's got to be some more things that we renounced. I can't remember them all, but that's the main gist. No sex, no talking, no harming others or yourself for a week. You just sit down and you think. Well, actually, you don't think. The thinking happens on its own, but you try to just be aware of the thinking. So it's called mindful awareness, and you try to very simply be present. Notice what is happening now. And as easy as that sounds, it is surprisingly difficult, just because our minds continually think and plan and fear and attach and crave and make up stories and delusions. So the main idea was to notice the cravings or things that are pleasurable and how we attach to them, and then also noticed aversions to things that are painful, and how we try to flee and get rid of them, and also the stories that we create in our minds, the delusions that we tell ourselves. So it's very practical, just very pragmatic, and it's just literally the process of sitting down, being still, and trying to continually be present over and over again. And I would say the experience is similar for those who haven't done it. It's similar to going into a dark room after being in a bright room, and it takes a while for your eyes to adjust to the new environment. And after your eyes adjust, you're able to see more clearly. You're able to see things that you weren't able to notice when you first walked into the room. It's a little bit more extreme, I think, just because of the way that we get information these days, with so many news sources and just so many text messages and emails and work and life and news media and just all the things that are going on. It's kind of like standing at Times Square, amplified even more than that, but like Times Square with all the different neon bright lights, signs, advertisements, and then walking into a dark room. And the crazy thing is, the dark room is just, it's inside of you. It's inside of your head. It's inside of your mind. It's like what you're dealing with. And all these trains that pass by of pleasure and pain, we can choose to get on, or we can choose to just notice, and ultimately they come and they go, just like all sensations do. And so it's the attachment or the aversion to these things that cause suffering in the Buddhist teaching. So the idea is to not attach, or to try to avoid these sensations, and just notice them come and notice them go. And it takes a while, so it's kind of like I said earlier, just getting acclimated to the stillness and the silence. And some things that I noticed on this retreat were, every day I would notice a new depth to just where I'm at, this beautiful place. It's amazing. But the more time I spent in silence, and the more time I spent walking, they have these walking, so you sit, and then you have walking meditations, and then you have sitting meditations, and you have walking meditations, then you eat, and you have sitting, it's like, so that's what you do. And I notice on these walking meditations, you start to notice a deeper level of beauty around you. Everything from the sounds of the rain falling, to the distant trains roaring by, or to you'd hear streams, and then, my curiosity would lead me on walks and to go find these streams and have wonderful hikes. And you start seeing bugs, and really weird looking bugs, and you notice how they move and how they're so slow, and it kind of just keeps unfolding. The colors and the people too. I came into this retreat feeling a little anxiety. I had gone to one retreat before, and it didn't go very well. It was a much more militant, hard-lined retreat, and it was just very difficult. It was 10 days. I only lasted 8 of the 10 days. So yeah, I had anxiety going into it, and I felt kind of like a competition almost. I saw these other retreatants, and they all seemed, they call them yogis. They just seemed really serious, and I felt like, oh man, I gotta compete with these people. I gotta try to meet their level of meditation and focus. It seems like they had all been in the practice much longer than me. They're probably about 40 people, 30 women, and average age is probably around 40 to 50 years old. So as the week went on, it's amazing. The compassion really built for these people, and I think their compassion for me, and you start to realize that we all have our own stuff that we're dealing with, and we're struggling with the same desires to be just loved, really. So yeah, the compassionate piece is a real great benefit from this practice. We did this meditation called metta meditation, which is a loving kindness meditation, when you practice giving love and kindness to all beings, and people that are close to you and people that are not close to you. And that really made me think of prayer circles and what it's like to pray for people and things. And I always thought that was kind of silly to pray for things or pray for something to happen. And I see it now, it can be a really useful tool for building your own compassion. So it can be a really, really powerful tool for people and communities. So that was really neat. I did feel like I wanted to leave after like day 3. It was a lot. I was like ready to get out, like a trapped bird in a cage. I wanted to fly. literally go paragliding, but I stuck through and glad I did. It was, yeah, overall a good experience. And I just turned on my phone and immediately saw all of the text messages, all of the emails, all of the notifications and news. And I mean, it's like walking back out into a crowded, you know, downtown New York after being in a dark room. And it's so loud, it's so fast. It also feels like home, which is kind of weird because it's just so chaotic. And that's what we're used to. So it'll be an interesting experience to try to reacclimate into normal life after being in such a beautiful, calm, peaceful oasis. I really recommend it to anyone who's wanting to try something different, get in tune with themselves. I also thought how this might affect my life. We talked a little bit about our, highest calling and why are we here. It's not just to survive, but how can we share our compassion and kindness with others? So that was something that I want to reflect more on, and just how I approach different things like paragliding, this new sport that I'm taking up, pretty serious about. What are the motivations behind that? How does greed play into that? With like wanting to be approved by my peers, wanting my mentors to be, proud of me, wanting to, keep progressing. So I don't think I have any hardline answers yet, but it's definitely going to be playing a role in my paragliding process. I think most people who paraglide think of it as a meditation at times, and I would agree, but I think the meditation and awareness to how we approach the sport before we get even on the hill, there's a lot to explore there. So yeah, just like how does fear and aversion affect how we approach the sport? For those who have had accidents or injuries, you may have some interesting thoughts about that. How does delusion play into it? For those of you who make YouTube videos, you might have thoughts about that. So yeah, those are some things to think about. So I will take you on a little walk here through these grounds that we have walked many times over the past 7 days. And let's just do it in silence together. Give you an idea of what it's like. So a couple questions I did have were, do you meditate? And if so, how do you do it? And what does it do for you? Pretty simple questions. See the fish in there? There's also some salamander type creatures, geckos or something, swimming around. They did not withdraw from having sex, let me tell you. They're having enough sex for all of us. Alright, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to check it out, I would recommend going to this Google Cloud Mountain. They have retreats all year long you can sign up for. Maybe start off with a 3 to 5 day for the newbies.